Imagine a world on the brink of chaos, teetering on the edge of an abyss so dark and terrifying it's almost unimaginable. What if the collapse of China is far worse than anyone has dared to think? Are you ready to confront the grim reality exposed by renowned investor Ray Dalio? Join us as we explore the heart of this enigmatic crisis shrouded in secrecy and suspense, and reveal the staggering consequences that could forever alter the course of history. The spine-chilling investigation is not for the faint of heart, so get ready and prepare to be astonished by the truths that lie ahead. Billionaire hedge fund manager Ray Dalio recently expressed concern that the United States and China are on the brink of military warfare due to China's apparent victory in their ongoing trade war. If you look at the percentage of global trade and global dominance, China is clearly winning the trade war, as Dalio put it. Dalio made these remarks against the backdrop of heightened tensions between the world's two largest economies after the US shot down a Chinese surveillance balloon last week. Although Dalio was optimistic that a full-scale fight might be avoided, he did say that the US was on the brink of armed conflict with China. China has also been making threats against Taiwan, a historic US ally that is considered to be part of China's territory despite Taiwan's de facto independence. The US and China have had a difficult time navigating their economic relationship outside of the balloon issue. The US has long charged China with stealing intellectual property and engaging in unfair commercial practices. According to a study by the Peterson Institute for International Economics, overall US imports from China are still much lower than the trend before the trade war. Chapter: Environmental Issues. Air pollution is the most serious environmental concern in China. The terrible air quality in the country is nothing new. Since the late 70s, when the country's industrial expansion and economic boom pulled 800 million people out of poverty and saw GDP increase at an ordinary annual rate of 10% for 4 decades, the country's air quality has continuously deteriorated. According to the 2021 World Air Quality Report, East Asia has 1,374 cities. All of them were in China, with Hotan in southwestern Xinjiang having the highest amount of pollution in the country at over 101 meters cubed, more than 20 times the WHO recommended threshold. China's poor air quality, which is estimated to cause an average of 1.2 million untimely demises per year, is primarily attributed to the country's rapid economic expansion since 1979. Leading to drastic increase in coal-powered manufacturing and electricity demands, as well as an exponential increase in private vehicles. Furthermore, while committing to achieve net zero by 2060, China remains the world's largest producer and consumer of coal, accounting for 60% of its electricity demand. Despite the troubling numbers obtained and the fact that no Chinese city meets WHO guidelines, air quality in China has continually improved in recent years since 2018. Large cities have witnessed an aggregated 21% drop in yearly PM2.5 concentrations, with Beijing meeting its own air pollution targets for the first time in 2021. President Xi Jinping claims that combating pollution is one of his top goals, citing it as one of China's 3 tough battles, along with poverty reduction and financial stability. The long-term strategy is primarily focused on reducing carbon emission intensity through the principal use of non-fossil fuel energy. With China being the world's most populated country, addressing the impending challenges of urbanization, particularly air pollution, is critical. The government is betting big on smart cities to enhance the air quality in ever-expanding metropolitan regions. Cities such as Beijing and Nanjing are already developing efforts to minimize pollution caused by businesses and transportation. Water contamination is at the top of the list of concerns regarding the environment in China, because of the illegal dumping of hazardous human and industrial waste, as well as agricultural fertilizers. Up to 90% of the country's groundwater is contaminated. As a result, around 70% of the country's rivers and lakes are unsuitable for human consumption, because there are not enough wastewater treatment facilities. Nearly half of the population does not have access to water that is fit for human consumption. On the basis of this, it's abundantly evident that the water you drink in China is just as hazardous as the air that you breathe. Underground water pollution in cities is not as easily detectable as air pollution, which is why largely ignored and allowed to progress unchecked. Air pollution, on the other hand, can be seen with the naked eye due to lax environmental standards, lax enforcement, and the government's unwillingness to take action against polluting enterprises. Manufacturers across the country were free to discharge their waste into lakes and rivers for decades. Nonetheless, throughout the past few years, a substantial amount of improvement has been made. Between the years of 2021 and 2025, the government of China provided funding for the construction of refurbishment over 80,000 kilometers of sewage collecting pipeline network. This was done further to improve the quality of the water. According to the report, the quality of water has gone a long way despite the fact that the surface is continuing to become better. Chapter Poverty. A dark cloud of dread loomed over the enormous expanse of the People's Republic of China in 2023. The dragon, once a familiar juggernaut of economic expansion and prosperity, had become entangled in the crushing grips of poverty. As the sun fell behind the hazy horizon, the shadows of adversity extended across the country, hiding millions of people's hopes for a better tomorrow. The situation was far worse across the vast countryside. Farmers forced to forsake their ancestral lands in quest of a modern life in overcrowded metropolitan centres left once verdant fields barren. Destroyed by drought and neglect, the villages which were once the backbone of China's agricultural prowess now remain barren and decaying relics of a time when the soil had provided for its people. The Chinese people's indomitable spirit began to weaken as the days turned into weeks and weeks into months. The once proud nation, which had been through innumerable trials and tribulations over its long and storied history, was now on the verge of collapse, its entire identity threatened by the crushing weight of poverty and mystery. But just when everything seemed lost, a silver light began to shine through the sifting gloom. A new generation of leaders emerged from the ashes of despair, driven by an unquenchable determination to pull their people out of poverty and restore their homeland's greatness. These visionary leaders began the difficult process of rebuilding their country from the ground up through sweeping reforms and ambitious initiatives. They formed new alliances, encouraged innovation, and cultivated the entrepreneurial spirit that had previously marked China's economic miracle. As the wheel of fortune continued its relentless turn, the people of China found themselves on the verge of a new age once more, a moment of hope, promise, and prosperity when the terrible memories of poverty and misery would fade into history, leaving the Chinese people's spirit to light the path forward. But as the phoenix rose from the ashes, the world watched in awe and trepidation, wondering about the future of this great nation. Only time would tell if the dragon would rise again, or if the ghost of poverty would return to haunt people's dreams. There are several factors that could contribute to an economic collapse in China, such as excessive debt levels, overcapacity in various industries, rising labour costs, demographic challenges, and environmental issues. These factors could lead to a significant economic slowdown, reduced investment and consumption, and a decrease in the confidence of foreign investors and lenders. If such an economic collapse were to occur, the consequences could be severe, not only for China but for the global economy as well. China is a major player in the global economy and the largest exporter of goods worldwide. Therefore, any significant decline in its economic activity would lead to a substantial reduction in global trade, the slowdown of other economics, and potential worldwide recessions. Additionally, a collapse in China's economy could lead to a political and social instability within the country, which could have consequences beyond its borders. A sharp drop in economic activity could lead to rising unemployment, social unrest, and potential political instability, potentially affecting the country's relations with other nations. It's also essential to recognise that economic collapse often have long-term effects on a country's economic and social development. A prolonged economic downturn could lead to a declining living standards, reduced access to essential services such as healthcare and education, and increased social inequality. In conclusion, while it's impossible to predict the future with certainty, a significant economic collapse in China would have far-reaching consequences for both the country and global economy. It is therefore essential for governments, businesses, and individuals to be aware of the potential risks and take appropriate measures to mitigate them. That's all for the video today. We'll be right back with more such videos. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.